Two big military stories around this weekend. Ukraine, get to that a little bit later. But of course, you would have heard about a Chinese naval ship that decided to fire a military-grade laser, which sounds very impressive, into an Australian observation plane. The Australian observation plane was flying in and around that area to keep an eye on things like illegal fishing, boat people, all of these things. In fact, I'll let Trudy McIntosh explain it a little better than I.
China caught on camera just off the Australian coast. The Prime Minister seeing red after it was revealed Beijing directed a military-grade laser at an RAAF surveillance aircraft.
I can see it no other way than an act of intimidation, one that is unprovoked, unwarranted.
The incident took place last Thursday over the Arafura Sea, northeast of Darwin.
So this is a very obvious little shove, a little bully poke that's coming from China. So let's see, in the conversation we've had in the past couple of weeks about how this government responds versus how a potential government would respond, and we're told that such comparisons are unfair to mention because all the policies are the same. Well, of course, it's not just about all the policies, it's about the posture. It's also about how you get to the end game. Compare the pair and tell me if you think there might be a slightly different tone. Here's Peter Dutton.
It's completely unacceptable. It can result in the blindness of the crew, can obviously result in damage of equipment. It's military grade. It's a very aggressive act, and that's why it's right that we call it out.
Whereas the Labor Party said, among other things, it was unprofessional. It was part of their statement. These are not the actions of a responsible power. China must understand that such actions will only engender further mistrust. Oh, big words. We expect the Morrison government to convey Australia's strong condemnation to the authorities in Beijing. Now, it has been incredibly successful for the Prime Minister to point out how important Australia's standing up for itself is, particularly when it comes to China. 93% of people, according to the Lowy Institute, have a problem with the increased militarisation of China in our part of the world. Now, it's not about walking up to the bully and spitting in their face. It's just not giving in to the bully when they give you the finger poke. Again, the Prime Minister last week and all the pearl clutches at the front end of the plane. Oh, you can't talk like this.
Will the Prime Minister please outline to the House why it is important not to appease or be intimidated from calling out those countries that seek to coerce and bully others?
My government will never be the preferred partner of a foreign government, Mr Speaker, that has chose to intimidate this country and has sought to threaten this country, Mr Speaker. They will not find a fellow traveller when it comes to threats and coercion against Australia in my government, Mr Speaker. I will never be their candidate.
And despite the fact that the reason that this works is not because it's a mindless fear campaign, but because, in my view, there's form. Remember Christina Keneally meeting with United Front, the people who think that Taiwan should become part of China? Not 10 years ago, a few months ago when she's trying to get a spot in the lower house, but nothing to see here. The conversations about how it's important about our trading relationship, which is code for just let the bully keep poking you, because despite the fact they won't steal your lunch money, they might give you half of it back. Here's Albo.
There's no doubt that some of the tone and the rhetoric that has been used by Scott Morrison and the government this week reflects a political desperation, and it's been called out by the Department of Defence Secretary Greg Moriarty, by the Director General of ASIO, by former Director General of ASIO, former Ambassador to Washington, former Head of Defence and Foreign Affairs Dennis Richardson. We have a national interest in our unity, and what we shouldn't be doing is trying to conflate false distinctions where there are none.
And the media, knowing that this was an issue, one of the three issues that I think are majorly important, the people who voted in 2019, I believe that the three things they still care about who voted for the government in 2019 is about the economy, as we showed you last week, more jobs than ever before, 1 million more than at the bottom of the pandemic. The standing up to China, not giving in to the bully, not being polite to the bully, but standing there saying, no, we should have accountability for a virus that ruined the world and killed millions of people. Remember, that's where all of this started. And then, of course, the craziness of the Greens and how they could end up pushing each way elbow way too far. Now, there's a little sleight of hand here, which is to say, well, there'll be no formal deals with the Greens. Yeah, sure. It's not about the formal deals with the Greens. It's about the piece of legislation they will help negotiate and pass through the parliament. The ideas. Remember, the only reason we got the carbon tax was because the Greens made Julia Gillard do it? And maths is maths in politics, and that's what makes governments do what they don't want to do. Well, there's a scenario here, of course, where the media, which have already decided which way this election's going, it's already done, 2019 all over again. Bill Shorten, we're running for his second term as Prime Minister right now. So what did the media do this weekend? Did they talk about the 93% of Australians and their views when it comes to the militarisation of China? No. In the Sydney Morning Herald, in the Financial Review, on the ABC, and of course in the Turnbull Times. How dare you bring up this? How dare you speak in these tones? We must negotiate. We must cajole the bully. We must occasionally let the bully poke us because there's bigger and stronger than us. I think I know how this works in the real world. Good luck with those that want to sit at the front end of the plane and those who want to amuse themselves about how the relationship works. A country standing up for its own values, I'm pretty sure people will back that in.